Now I am going to start with the discussion of how to configure a Hadoop cluster using Amazon EC2. Okay, so here EC2 is a service. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So is a service belongs to Amazon AWS Web Services, which is used to create a needed computer in a cloud. Okay, so if you want to get this infrastructure as a service, so you may need to go for EC2 in Amazon Cloud. Now we are going to start our discussion. We have already discussed that. In our curriculum, we can configure a Hadoop cluster by either using a physical computer or by using a virtual machines by using this virtualization software like VMware Workstation or using Hyper-V or Citrix and VirtualBox. That the third way of configuring a cluster is using cloud. In cloud, we can make use of two ways. One by using infrastructure as a service and another by using Hadoop as a service. So by using infrastructure as a service in sense, we are going to create an infrastructure, that is the needed server can be created from the cloud. Then on top of it, we need to configure our Hadoop cluster. That's one way. Here further the services that we are going to make use of it, EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. So the second way of configuring a Hadoop cluster in cloud is each and every cloud, they provide their own services called Hadoop as a service. Here the service provided by Amazon is EMR, Elastic MapReduce. Similarly, we have each and every cloud. So if we have Azure, Azure provides a service by name Hadoop HD Insights. So this is the service provided by Azure as a Hadoop as a service. And what is the difference between going for Hadoop as a service and going for getting an infrastructure as a service? So you already aware of the sequence of steps that you need to go for while installing a Hadoop cluster. What you need to do? So you want to create a computer. The computer can be a virtual machine or it can be an instance. Instance is nothing but the virtual machine in cloud is called as instance. In cloud, if you create a computer for our operation, that computer in cloud is called as an instance. We need to configure Ubuntu operating system. Any Linux operating system is applicable here in our example. So we are going up with this Ubuntu. Okay. So here you can go up with Ubuntu 0.14.0 or 16.04. Currently, Amazon supports Ubuntu 16.04. Okay, so we are going to work with this Ubuntu 16.04. Next, what you need? You need to install JDK. You need to install minimum JDK 7 or you can install any other higher end version. If you go for this Ubuntu 14.04, it supports 1.7. If it is 16.04, it supports only 1.8. There is no support here for 1.7. You just make a note. Then after that, you need to configure SSH server and you need to create a key. SSH key need to be created, key generation. It will generate two keys. One is a public key and another one is a private key that you already have, which is used for authenticating you as a legitimate user. The reason behind generating this SSH key is to authenticate you as a legitimate user. And step 5, you need to download and you need to configure Hadoop. So here step 6, what do you need? You need to populate the all configuration files. You need to populate 7 configuration files. Okay, each and every configuration file need to be specified with some IP address of your name node, secondary name node, data nodes, etc., etc. And for the first time, you need to format the name node, and you can start all the services. These are all the things that you need to go for. So if you want to configure a Hadoop cluster in a single node. So if you took this infrastructure as a service, so here, what do you do? What we did so far? So this is my machine, i5 machine with 8 GB of RAM memory. What I did on top of it, I had configured a virtualization software. Using that virtualization software, I had created a virtual machine. That virtual machine, what I created is with 4 microprocessor and 4 GB of RAM memory. I had created. It is up to your choice. According to the hardware, you can create your own machine. Minimum recommendation is to go for a 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM. If you people have a i3 with 4 GB of RAM, in this sense, what you need to go? you need to assign 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM for your physical server. On top of it, you need to create a VM. That VM can be assigned with the remaining 2 microprocessor and 2 GB of RAM. Okay. So here on top of the VM, we did all the following above process: creation of Ubuntu virtual machine, JDK, SSH. That is what that we did in the virtualization. You want to repeat all the steps. Instead of creating a virtual machine on your environment, you will be creating a virtual machine on the data center if you go for a cloud as a service. Okay, here the virtual machine, for creating a virtual machine using Amazon, you need to use the service EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. The virtual machine that you created in Amazon cloud is termed as instance. Instance is not a separate entity. Instance is nothing but a virtual machine that you created in a cloud is termed as instance. Okay, so you want to follow all the sequence of steps what we have discussed in our discussion on creating a Hadoop cluster using VMware in the same thing. But if you took this Hadoop as a service, what's the advantages of going for this Hadoop as a service? In sense, everything will be configured. You need to just start the server. That's all. You no need to do any configurations. Okay, everything will be pre-configured. What you need to specify here, it prompts you for two things. One, how many data nodes that you need to have. So you already are aware the number of data nodes depends upon the amount of data that you need to store in the Hadoop cluster. That thing that you need to specify, whether 3 data node or 4 data node or 5 data node, n data node, you need to specify the data node. The second thing that it will be asked is, so what are all the hardware configurations to the name node and to the data nodes? How many processor that you need to assign, how much of RAM memory that you need to assign, how much of storage that you need to assign, like those things need to be configured. That's alone that you need to specify here. Apart from that, all other remaining thing will be done automatically. Okay, so that's the difference between going for getting an infrastructure as a service and getting a Hadoop as a service. We are going to discuss both the thing in today's session. Okay, then let me first start with the general discussion on cloud. What is cloud? Cloud is nothing but on-demand delivery of IT resources. Okay, we can make use of presentation. Please wait. Okay, it is a on-demand delivery of IT resources with pay as you go. What do you mean by that? Okay, on-demand delivery of IT resources via internet with pay as you go pricing. So today in IT industry, the buzzword is cloud computing and big data. Okay, each and everyone is talking about this cloud and big data. So it is told that according to this IDC report, there exists around 2 crores of job openings throughout the world need to be filled in the end of 2017 itself. By 2017, 2 crores of job openings need to be filled. What IDC report is revealing is, out of this 2 crore, only 50 lakhs of opening alone can be filled. The remaining 1.5 crores of opening going to be vacant. So because of lagging of skilled expertise. That is the prediction given by IDC for cloud computing. Such a demanding opportunity, not only for cloud, also for your big data. Okay, so big data, in terms of big data, in terms of admin part, each and everyone is looking with big data stuff with along with the cloud computing stuff. These two combination is one of the most demanding thing in today's IT industry. For admin and architect perspective, they expert you knowledge on cloud computing. Okay, so our curriculum deals with what are all the basic knowledge that administrator of big data is in need of to work with cloud will be covered in our curriculum. Okay, so the cloud computing, before going up into the cloud computing, let me make it with a small real day-to-day example. Let me take electricity as an example. So for generating electricity, what we need to establish the infrastructure. Okay, so let the electricity, it may be nuclear power plant, or it may be a hydel power plant, or it may be a power plant working with some natural resources like coal, Neyveli Lignite Corporation like this. You want to establish a huge infrastructure, so with higher-end machineries and etc. etc. So here, then also in case the infrastructure once it got established, you need to go for a continuous maintenance and monitoring what is going on there. In case of any issues, you want to monitor and you want to perform maintenance activity on those infrastructure. So we, as a end user, whether we did any investment to establish the infrastructure? No. First thing, no initial cost of investment to establish the infrastructure. Okay, we didn't invest anything to establish the infrastructure. The infrastructure. The second key point is, in case of any issues to the infrastructure, we are not responsible for performing this maintenance and monitoring activity. It will be taken care by the particular service provider itself. As a end user, what we did, so we consume electricity in form of metered service. So the electricity produced by using this infrastructure, we consume the electricity in form of metered services. What do you mean by that? So metered services in sense to which extent that I am consuming. For example, if I consume 100 units of electricity for that particular month, I need to pay for that. If I consume 500 units of electricity, I need to pay for that. If I went for a vacation and if I consume 0 units of electricity, I no need to pay anything. So according to the utilization, according to my consumption, I need to pay for. So I am getting the services in form of metered services without establishing the infrastructure and without bothering about the overhead of maintenance and monitoring the infrastructure. Simply, whenever I need, if I want to switch on this AC, I can switch on my AC. If I want to switch on my other things, refrigerator, or if I want to switch on my anything, I can switch on those things. And to which extent that I am consuming, and that alone that I need to pay for. This is the concept behind this mutilation as metered as a service, as a metered services. The same example, if you go with this telecommunication. So in terms of telecommunication, I am having an account with Airtel. So I didn't invest anything to establish the infrastructure of Airtel. Also, I am not responsible in performing maintenance and monitoring activity on these Airtel switching stations and Airtel tower. Simply, whenever I need, I just make a call to the needed number, and to which extent that I am using, for that I need to pay for, without bothering about the establishment of infrastructure and maintenance of infrastructure. Similar to electricity, similar to telecommunication, if we can able to do the things for all our computing need. So for all our computing need in sense, not here, we need to make use of a hardware. We need some softwares. So those softwares may be either a system software, or it may be a application software, or it may be a database software, anything. Then we may need to make use of some networking. So we may need to make use of some inter-networking components like routers, switches like this. For all our computing need, what we did currently, we need to establish the infrastructure, we need to establish the laboratory, we need to procure servers, and we need to establish this networking. Then only we can work with this computer. Here, a software electricity, a software telecommunication, without investing anything to establish the infrastructure, we can get all the above thing as a service, a computing as a service. Okay, when you need a hardware, you can get the hardware. If you need a software, you can get a software. Okay, if you need some networking, you can get the networking. If you need database, you can get the database without investing anything. Okay, so that is getting the all computing as a service is termed as cloud computing. Okay, similar to this electricity and similar to this telecommunication. Okay, now where these services will be provided. Okay, now I move on to this. This is on-demand delivery of IT resources. Here IT resources here refers to the hardware resources, the software resources, networking resources, what we have listed. Where the resources will be placed? The resources will be placed in a location called as data centers. We have a data center. The data center is owned by a third party. Okay, we have those. This data center may be equipped with higher end servers. The data center may be equipped with these storages. It may be equipped with this associated all the softwares. Okay, so here the data center may be owned by some cloud service providers. Some of the famous service providers are Amazon, Microsoft. Each and everyone they have the data center. We have IBM data center. We have Oracle Cloud. We have VMware Cloud. Goes on, it goes on. Okay, so the data center contains all the needed resources. Here, the end user, what he can do, he can make a connection with the data center and he can build a needed hardware. Okay, he can build a needed computer. Okay, and he can install the needed software on top of it. What are all the software in terms of OS and in terms of application that the user is interested, can install on top of it, and he can able to connect with the computer that he created on the data center. Okay, and work as if that he is sitting in front of it. So imagine the data center that we are going to connect is Amazon data center, which is in US East or US West. Whereas I am currently in Madurai. Okay, I am currently in Tamil Nadu in Madurai. So here, if I want to make a connection to the data center, whether I need any sophisticated devices, whether I need any customized software, the answer is no. What I am in need at my side, in the side, I need a system which support a web browser. That is sufficient enough. It may be a desktop, it may be a laptop, or it may be a tablet. Anything is supported. Okay, at my end, at my side, I can make use of any device which support a web browser. That is sufficient enough. Okay, so through that I can make a connection to the machine that I have created in my cloud, and I can work as if that I am sitting in front of it. This is called infrastructure as a service. Okay, so here, in order to make you more simplified, let me take this scenario. So here I got a project. I got a freelance project. Okay, the project I need to go for some big data applications. I need to go for some analytics, which I need a huge hardware. My requirement is I need a server with 8 microprocessor and 64 GB of RAM memory. Then I am in need of 10 TB of hard disk. These are all my hardware requirements. And in terms of the associated OS, I am looking for Windows Server 2016. And I am in need of Oracle Database 12c. These are all my software requirements. Okay. So currently, what I am in possession currently is I am having a laptop with i3 with 4 GB of RAM with 1 terabytes of storage. Then with the Windows 7 operating system. This is my current position. But my requirement is this much. So if I go for investment for a server with the above set configuration, the server itself will be coming around roughly 4 lakhs, and this operating system, the license cost will be coming around 1, and I need to invest to 5 lakhs. Okay, so my duration of this project, what I am going to do is a 3 months duration. I need to complete this project in 3 months duration. If I successfully completed, let me imagine I got a compensation 5 lakhs. Okay, for this project. So if I go for investing the entire 5 lakhs to establish the infrastructure, am I left with anything behind? No, all the work that I did up to 3 months will be utilized for my infrastructure alone. So there is no benefit for me if I go with this particular procurement of traditional way of procuring a physical server and getting the software. How much of duration that I need of by particular software? I need only for 3 months, but I need to pay license for 1 year, whether I am using or not. If I want to go for procuring a license, Oracle and Windows will provide me a license for 1 year. Whether I used for 1 day or 366 days, it doesn't bother. Okay, here. So my requirement is 3 months. At the average, 1 day I am going to develop my application. I am going to test my application using the data sets. where it is going on fine. At an average, I am going to work with the above set hardware for 5 hours. My project duration is 90 days. Therefore, total need is 950, that is 990 days into 5 hours at average per day, 450 hours. Let me round off to 500 hours that I am in need of the above set hardware along with the associated software. So for this, if I go for a physical setup, I need to invest 5 lakhs. If I get the needed resources from cloud, what I did so far as a service, how much I need to pay is rupees 30 rupees per hour for the above set configuration in Amazon cloud. Therefore, into 500 hours, how much that you need to pay for? It is 5 3s are 15. Roundly, you need to pay only 15,000 rupees for the utilization for 3 months at an average 5 hour per day. Okay, so compare how much that benefit that you will get. If you go for a traditional way, you need to invest 5 lakhs. If you go up with this cloud, the resources, if you took the resource from cloud, then you need to invest only 15,000. That is the advantage of going for this cloud. Now, in our today's discussion, what we are going to do, we are going to create an instance in cloud where I am going to configure my Hadoop cluster on top of it. Okay, in a real time, several startup companies and mid-level companies, they will be having a Hadoop cluster infrastructure only on cloud. So the advantage here is the cost. They need no need to invest the physical cluster, and they no need to go for debuting a human to take care of maintenance and monitoring activity. Whenever they need to process, they can take a cluster from cloud and they can process the data. Once the activity has been over, they can release those. Okay, cluster. To which extent that they have consumed, accordingly they need to pay for. If they no need to worry about all other things. Okay, almost out of 100 companies, nearly 60% of companies, they are having infrastructure taken only from cloud. Then that is the reason why a combination of cloud with Hadoop is one of the most demanding stuff. So what currently industry is doing, they are recruiting a Hadoop admin, and they are also, if they want to make use of the cloud as a service, they need a cloud administrator also. They need to recruit 2 persons. Instead of that, if a single person possesses stuff on both the things, he may be given a chance. So that is the reason why we need to go for both Hadoop as well as cloud in our curriculum, in order to make our participants, our learners, ahead in the job market race. I combine these two stuff in my curriculum. Okay, so this is the way by which you can make use of these resources from a cloud for our requirement. If you have any doubt with respect to our discussion, please let me know. So those old batch. Now you are aware what do you mean by cloud computing. Okay, on demand delivery instance, whenever we need, we can get the needed resources. Okay, those resources will be at the data center. We can connect from our premises to the data center using a device which support a web browser, that's all. And we can work with the resources that we got in the data center as if that I am sitting in front of it. Okay, so to which extent that I am consuming, for that only I need to pay for. Okay, so what I am going to do now, I am going to make a connection with Amazon data center, which is in US West, and I am going to create a machine, yeah, Ubuntu server on top of it, Ubuntu 16.04. I am going to perform all the installation steps what we have discussed. Okay, so all this activity I am going to do by sitting in Madurai from my desktop. I am going to establish a connection with this data center, going to create, show you how to create an instance and how to install all those things. Okay, so first thing, the you need a credential To connect with cloud, you need to have a credential. www.aws.amazon.com. So I have configured a multi-factor authentication to secure my account in Amazon Cloud. So I had added a security on top of it by associating with the Amazon account with my mobile. So that is the way why it asks for. I need to submit a password, the additional password. Yes, if you by default MFA won't be configured. Okay, you can right away connect to the cloud. You people. Now these are all the services offered by Amazon. Computer as a service. I got connected to the data center now. You can find these are all the data centers established. I am going to connect with a data center is US East or US West anything. Now I am going to connect with US East North Virginia data center. These are all the services offered by Amazon. You can get the compute service, developer tools, storage as a service. Here you can get the management tools. You can get the database. For example, if you are looking for getting a database, click on this RDS. RDS stands for Relational Data Store. You can get Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, anything. Okay, so if you click on here, get started, you can find all the database, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle. You can get all the thing. Oracle Enterprise, Oracle Standard Edition, Oracle Standard Edition version 1 and 2. Okay, so it is now coming under free. You no need to pay. If you want a SQL server, you can get the SQL server. Everything that you can get it as a service. Now what we are going to do? So we are going to do infrastructure as a service. So click on this EC2. Now you find that I got connected to US East data center and the services are working fine. Okay, the number of instance is nothing but your computer in a cloud is called as instance. If you click here, it shows there is nothing is listed. Now I am going to create a computer here. Simply click on launch instance and it will list you all the above set. The process of creating an instance is a 9-step process. Step 1, I want to choose my operating system. That is my AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Okay, so here I am going to choose Ubuntu Server 16.04. Select this. If you want further, you can get all the additional things from Amazon Marketplace. If you click on AWS Marketplace, all the softwares which was given by Amazon will be listed. You can find we have infrastructure software 2218 infrastructure, 557 developer and business 1400 business softwares. Okay, you can get all the software associated software from this. So if we go for application development, application server, so big data, monitoring tools, okay, source controlling, business intelligence. If we click on business intelligence, you can get all the associated products which was serviced by Amazon. Nearly 300 products.
Hello, sir. One question.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first part is configuring.
Okay, so these are all the associated. If you go for the browser tools, Tableau, if you are looking for Tableau, the reporting tool, if you are looking for SAS, you can get all the needed thing. Now, we are going to work with only the infrastructure as a service. Therefore, I am going to choose step 1 and the Ubuntu as my operating system. Select Ubuntu. Step 2, I need to specify my hardware configuration for my instance. How many CPU, how many RAM memory, how many storage. I am going to make use of a free tier micro instance which contains one CPU and that one CPU is equivalent to 2.5 gigahertz Intel Xeon family, then I will be assigned 1 GB of RAM memory. Okay, so this is sufficient enough for me so that I can make use of choosing a general purpose instance. Next, how many computers that I am going to configure? Number of instances. I am going to configure only one computer. Step 4, how much of storage that I need? I need only 8 GB, which is the default storage given by. If you want, you can make it additional thing. So 8 GB is sufficient enough for me. So I am going up with the default 8 GB of storage. Next, tag instance. I need to assign a name to my instance so that I can be able to differentiate which is my instance among the several available instances. I am going to make it as RAM Hadoop. Okay, the name of my server, RAM Hadoop. Then next step, configuring security group. So your instance is launched in a public cloud. So you are already aware of the concept of firewall. The firewall is used for protecting your computer, protecting your network from any unauthorized access. In firewall, you will be specifying some rules. Based upon the rules, the incoming request or the outgoing request from your computer may be allowed or denied. Okay, I am creating a firewall in this sense. Here only access through this SSK. SSK stands for secured cell alone need to be permitted. Okay, so we will have in-depth 3 to 5 hours of discussion on this thing on a specific day. Being today's session is going to be clubbed between the two batches. Okay, I am letting you know a overall view. That's all. Okay, just a security group is a firewall rule by which you can protect your instance. Review and launch. Then another thing, you need to, another way of protecting your instances, you can assign a key pair. Okay, create a new key pair. Once again, the key pair name is Raman. You download the key pair. I will let you know what is key pair now. Okay, we have already under desktop, save, launch instance, view instance. You can find a computer created here. The status of the computer is pending. The computer is created under the availability zone US East. You can find the name of the computer is RAM Hadoop. The IP address assigned to the computer is this address. So within 5 to 7 seconds, the computer will start running state. Now it is in running state. My computer is ready. You just guess how much of time that it took to configure a server in cloud. Within a matter of 1 minute, I can able to create my server here. Then what is the use of this key? I can protect my computer which I launched in a cloud using several ways of protection. Here, the data center being it is a public data center.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, to create a Amazon credential, we need to do anything or anyone can create?
Anyone can create with if you possess a credit card. That's all.
We need to pay for that?
Yeah.
Oh, how much, sir?
In Indian rupees, rupees 2.
Oh, only rupees 2. For each access we have to pay or once for all?
For your connection, you need to pay rupees 2. And how much of thing that you are utilizing, similar to electricity, if you consume 100 units, you need to pay 100 units. Similarly, to which extent that you are consuming these resources, accordingly you need to pay for. Those things will be listed.
Okay. Suppose I am accessing the cloud and I am using the Oracle. So based on that usage, they'll give the bill.
They will have a listing of price listing. Okay.
Okay. Once we paid, then only they'll allow to access.
No. That is the reason why they are asking for a credit card, not a debit card. So you can pay. You can
okay. After the usage, they will take the amount.
According to the usage that you need to pay for.
Okay.
If you go here, if I say everything, you may have a billing. I am showing my dashboard for this account, a billing dashboard. How much that you have utilized, how much that you need to pay, each and everything will be listed. You can look into this. My last month utilization under this account is $5.6. Okay, my current utilization here is, this is my current utilization. For the month of July, I have not yet utilized anything in this particular data center. So since I am making use of all the thing as a free services, I yet to pay anything. Okay, I am having around 5 accounts. Each and every account I make use of for a particular training. In this account, I not yet consumed anything. It will list how much of EC2, how much of EBS, how much of S3 that you have so far utilized. Everything will be listed. And here it also predicts you, if you spend in this manner, what will be the amount that you need to pay for at the end. It will also give you a prediction. Accordingly, you can control your thing.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. So we will have a separate session for that. Now my instance is ready. My instance is ready. Okay. So how to connect with my instance? Here, this is a public data center which I had created my computer, my Ubuntu computer I had created. Then in order to secure my computer, I had created a firewall. This firewall is called as a security group. So this firewall allows any user from anywhere, if they connected to the computer using this SSKs. SSKs stands for secured cell. If they use this SSKs, then only the connection will be permitted. Also, the user myself is Raman. I am the owner of the computer. I am the owner of the computer. So in order to provide additional security, what Amazon will do, so imagine a scenario of a bank locker. So if you have worked with this bank locker, the bank locker contains 2 keys. Okay, one key will be retained by the bank manager and another key will be given to the user. So if and only if both the keys are inserted, you can able to open or close the bank locker. Is it? So using your key alone and using the key possessed by the manager alone, you can't able to do. The key possessed by the manager here can be considered as a public key, and the key given to you is considered as a private key. So how a bank manager authenticates that this user Ram is an authenticated user and is the account holder of the bank locker? If the user have a private key which is given to him, then using the private key only the manager may have authentication. Yes, he is the legitimate user. Similarly, what Amazon do is, while creating a computer, it will generate 2 keys, one public key and another private key. So it will retain the public key in the data center and it will give the private key to the user. So if the user try to establish the connection each and every time, the user want to submit the private key, then the private key will be matched with the public key which the Amazon data center is retained. If and only if both the keys matches, similar to your bank locker, okay, if and only if both the keys are matches, then only you can able to access the bank locker. The same case here too. If both the key matches, then that particular user is considered as a legitimate user and he will be given a permission to access the resource that is launched in the data center. Even though he is a owner, if he lost this key, if the key is corrupted, he won't be given a permission. So these are all some security measures enforced by Amazon to ensure more security to an instance that you launch in a cloud. So this is the key that Amazon provide to us. Okay, the key that I had just now shown to you, where it is. Raman. This is the key. Okay. I'm going to make a small change for my key. Okay, now what I did here is, okay, so the key generated by Amazon, the public and private key, the generated by Amazon is .pem format. So I am going to make use of a tool called as a PuTTY to connect to my computer. Okay, I need a software called PuTTY to connect to my computer. PuTTY doesn't understand the key if it is in .pem format. Therefore, I need to convert the key from .pem format into .ppk format, which is understandable by PuTTY. For that conversion, I make use of a tool called as a PuTTY. So after converting the key, so when I make a connection with this data center, what I need to give, it will prompt me for the key. I need to give this .ppk key. That is what that I did now. Now I am going to establish a connection with my cloud. Okay, so for that I need this public DNS address. Copy the address. Copy. Go to PuTTY. This tool is a free tool. PuTTY and PuTTYgen are free tools. You can directly download from www.putty.org. We can download a PuTTY here. Okay, click on download. You can download PuTTY here. Putty.exe and puttygen.exe. These are all the two softwares that you need. Now this is the PuTTY software. Run. I am going to paste my IP address. Control V. SSKites. I am going to authenticate. I need to give my key, authentication key, which I was maintaining in my desktop. That is raman.ppk. Open. Yes. My default username is Ubuntu. Now I got connected to my Ubuntu computer. This is my instance that I launched in my cloud. Okay, this is the instance that I launched in my cloud. So Ubuntu computer. This is my system, underlying machine. This is my backend machine, my Windows machine. Okay, so here I launched a Ubuntu computer. That Ubuntu computer got connected. So if you look into the screen, it seems as if I am having a Ubuntu. I can create a file ls. Nothing has been shown. Vi. Okay, I can create a file ram. So insert. Welcome to Amazon Cloud. Escape :w2. I can create a file. I can type ls-l. It shows that a file has been created. You just look into the time 3:31. The current time is 9:01 a.m. Okay, this is my local time. This time is the data center time. So this is you can create a file, anything that you can do here. Sudo. You can check what is the fdisk -l. Yes, you can find you have a hard disk size of 8 GB. Okay, 8 GB size of the hard disk has been created. So you can install anything. You can install Java. What we did so far. First thing, what you need to do: sudo apt-get update. This is the first command that you need to go for. That's all. It got updated. Next, let me check whether Java is present or not. Java space -version. Yes, Java is not present. The command to install Java is sudo apt-get install openjdk -8-jdk. Yes. Where I am installing? I am installing all the thing to the computer that I launched in the cloud, Amazon cloud. Yes, within a maximum of 1 minute, you can able to install Java. Yes, Java got installed. So I show again Java -version. Now you find that OpenJDK version is shown. So to install OpenSSH server, that's all. Okay, you have server already configured. So what are, as if that you are sitting in front of this machine, you are doing all those things. Where the machine is? You have configured the machine at the public data center. This machine is in US, whereas I am sitting in Madurai in my desktop. But I am working with this computer as if that I am sitting here in front of it. You just look into that. This is the way by which you can create an instance and you can do all the needed things. I installed SSH, I installed Java, and then I had created SSH-keygen. These two keys will be created. Simply type enter. You can find a key will be created under the following location. ID underscore, simply type enter, enter, enter. That's all. A key is created. Okay. So you can find these two keys. What you need to do now, you need to copy this key. Okay, how to copy? So SCP, so /home. Here in this case, the user being it is Ubuntu. It is Ubuntu dot SSH ID underscore RSA dot pub key need to be copied to /home /Ubuntu. In my discussion, I had mentioned that Hadoop being my user created is Hadoop in my virtual machine. Whereas here, being the user created is Ubuntu, it will be under home /Ubuntu dot SSH /authorized underscore keys. Okay, authorized. AUTH. Enter. Now you have a key. Okay, authorized underscore keys. If you type SSH localhost without asking password, it should land. Yes, it is working fine. Now you need to download and install Hadoop. wget, where to go for Hadoop? I had already shown you. Go to Google. Simply download Hadoop. It will take you to this Hadoop Apache releases. Okay. You can get it anything. So click on this mirror site. Go to mirror site. Hadoop 1.2.1. This is the file that you need. Please make a note. Hadoop 1.2.1 tar.grz. Right click. Copy link address. Come to the virtual machine. Now simply wget stands for webget. Paste the link address. Now Hadoop will be downloaded. So everything you can complete within at the maximum of 10 minutes if you go for taking the resource from cloud. Now you can find ls Hadoop is configured. Hadoop -1.2.1 tar.gz has been configured. You want to untar it, tar-xvf Hadoop. It will be untarred. Now you can find the two things. Hadoop 1.2.1, the untarred file. Okay, under this Hadoop, you can find this conf folder, bin folder, everything will be present here. Okay, bin folder, conf folder. If you move on to this conf folder, you can find all the files that has been listed. Hadoop environment .NET, what we have discussed, the slaves file. Okay, mapred-site.xml, core-site.xml. Okay, so masters file, everything will be listed. hdfs-site.xml. You can do the needed configuration. Okay, so this is the way by which you need to configure the Hadoop in your public cloud. Okay, so now we are going to start our discussion on how to create a storage. Next, how to create a Hadoop as a service here. So here you can, if you go for this service, and you can find the service under the following location. Under this analytics, you can find EMR. EMR stands for Elastic MapReduce. So what you need to do, you want to create a cluster, then you need to specify the input for your cluster, and the cluster will take the input and it will do the process, and you can invoke another service called as a monitoring service, which monitors your cluster. If your cluster's workload increases, automatically you can go and add additional servers according to the workload. Then once the task has been completed, again the result will be stored back to the location where you have specified. So Amazon EMR is nothing but a web service which is used to build a Hadoop cluster. Okay. So here, for this service, what you need to have your data stored in Amazon storage. So with respect to this Amazon storage has been concerned, there are 4 types of storage. Okay, Amazon storage. Where to store your data? With respect to this Amazon storage has been concerned, there are 4 types of storage. One is instance store. Amazon instance store. The second type of storage is Amazon EBS. EBS stands for Elastic Block Store. The third type of storage is S3. This is what that we are interested. Amazon Simple Storage Service. The fourth one, Amazon Glacier. Now we have added, they have added new service, EFS, Elastic File System. Okay, it is a SAN storage. Elastic File System. Glacier is a archive storage, which is used for backup activity. Okay, I mean these are all the storages associated with your Amazon. Now our requirement is dealing with S3, Amazon Simple Storage Service. So we establish a cluster. You know the architecture of the cluster. So here the minimum is you need to have one master, and these are all the slave nodes, slave 1, slave 2, which is nothing but your data nodes. So this cluster can be established using the service of EMR, Elastic MapReduce. So you need to feed some input. Okay, you need to feed some input here. How you can make your input? This is the input. Then the cluster will take the data. You want to place your data in the input. Then the data will be taken from the input into the cluster, and it got processed. Then after process, the output once again need to be returned in a particular location. Here, for this purpose, we make use of this S3, the simple storage service, under which you will be having your input file and you will be having your output file. So then everything got processed. You can able to view at the end the final process here. So here the establishing of this master slave, everything will be taken by the EMR. What you need to do, you want to specify, as of I had already informed, how many data nodes that you need and the hardware configuration for master and data nodes. That alone that the user need to input. All other remaining thing will be by default configured default by the EMR itself. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about this S3 storage perspective. So what is instance store? What is EBS? How it differs from S3? How it differs from Glacier? That we are going to discuss. Okay. In a cloud, you have a physical server. On top of the physical server, there will be some virtualization software. Amazon uses the following software: Citrix. So we have in our practice used the VMware workstation. Similarly, we have another software called Citrix. This virtualization software is used by Amazon Cloud. So using this software, what we did, it will create a virtual machine. Okay. So we have created a virtual machine. with a hard disk of 8 GB. So this virtual machine, we have created a virtual machine with one microprocessor and 1 GB of RAM memory. Okay, where the resources can be taken. So this is the physical server. Imagine the physical server is having a hard disk of 2 terabyte. If the hard disk for this virtual machine is taken from this, we have assigned 8 GB. If the hard disk for this virtual machine, the virtual machine here is called as instance in cloud. If the hard disk is assigned from the hard disk from your physical server, on top of it the instance has been created, then this hard disk is termed as instance store hard disk. Okay, if the hard disk assigned to your instance is taken from the hard disk of your physical server in your data center, these are all in your data center. So this hard disk is termed as instance store. You may have a separate storage box, a NAS box, EMC NAS box containing multiple hard disks. Okay, you may aware of what is NAS, network attached storage. So if you use this thing for your hard disk, if you make use of this hard disk, okay, a 8 GB hard disk created, and if it is mapped to your instance, getting this hard disk from a separate storage is called as EBS, elastic block store. We have discussed about 4 types of storage. Okay, EBS, 5 types of storage. One is instance store, second one is EBS, getting the hard disk from this. And third thing, you will be having a separate sandbox, a storage box. Okay, from that, if you create a hard disk, and that hard disk, the important thing is that if you have the data here in your S3 storage, you can able to store the data and you can able to process the data without attaching to an instance, without connecting to your instance. That is, without connecting to a computer. Whereas if you use this instance store or if you use this elastic block store, you need to connect with the instance. The hard disk need to be attached with the instance. Through the instance only you can able to perform a read or write. Whereas if you create a S3, S3 here is called as object storage. Object storage instance, you can store any object, any multimedia object. You can store a audio, you can store a video, you can store a huge PDF documents, you can store an image, everything can be stored. Okay, so if you want to access, once an object has been stored in S3, a URL will be created, a uniform resource location will be created, to whom the object need to be shared. For the user, we need to give this URL. The users, for example, I am going to give it to Elil Mary ma'am. So what I need, Elil Mary ma'am does not need to have an account with Amazon. So if I share this URL to Elil Mary ma'am, so if I share this URL to Abhilash, okay, Abhilash, so what they can do, they can use their own computer or they can use their own mobile or they can use their own tablet. You simply open a browser, a web browser, and simply type that URL that has been shared by me. Automatically, what thing that I had uploaded in this storage S3 is accessible to them. That is what that we are going to practice. So they no need a cloud account. They no need to connect with the cloud. Simply, if I give the access permission to Elil Mary and Abhilash, so that they can able to access what are all the objects that I am storing in my storage S3, they can able to access according to the permission set to them. So I can assign a read permission, I can assign a read write permission, I can assign an upload permission to my S3, I can assign a download permission. If I assign a download permission, they can download the object. If I doesn't assign a download permission, if I assign only read permission, they can able to view the object. So the permission according what I had set it to my S3, and the corresponding user can able to do the associated activity. So that is the difference between going up with this instance store, EBS and S3. Okay, so if you have using your instant store and EBS, then you need to definitely have a cloud account and you need to attach that the hard disk to a instance. Then only you can able to read or write. Whereas if you go for S3, without having an account with cloud, you can able to access the data. So here the another type of storage is Glacier, which is a archival storage. It is also similar to S3. So what is the difference between storing in S3? In S3, if you want to upload or if you want to download an object, you can done within seconds. The same thing if you use the Glacier, minimum it need 4 hours, whatever may be the size. I mean, if you want to upload or if you want to download, minimum it need 4 hours to reflect. Why so? Because S3 is a storage which is made of using some low cost commodity hardware. So the performance will be less. Okay. So what sort of data can be stored in this S3? So if you want to store data which is not subjected to further modification, that is backup data. For example, in a hospital may have a lot of patients scan images like MRI scans, like everything, all scan images. Those images is not going to subjected to any further modification. If those images want to be stored separately, then they can go for Glacier. Similarly, so let me take a plan. If you want to store a plan, so it may be a engineering design plan, or it may be a structure plan, a civil structure plan, a house plan, which is not going to subject to any modification, then you can store in a Glacier. So the data which is not going to subjected to further modification and the retrieval delay in retrieving the data or delay in updating the data is affordable for your application, then you can go for Glacier. Else, if you want to have a quick access to your information and if your data is going to subject to changes frequently, and in this case you need to go for this S3 storage only. The difference is cost. For storing 1 GB of data per month in S3, it is 5 rupees instance. The same thing if you store in Glacier, it is only 50 paisa, rupees 50 paisa. Almost 1:10 times the cost will be less. But in terms of performance, S3 will have a little bit higher end performance compared to that of Glacier. Okay. This is the difference between the 4 types of storages. Now our focus is on S3, how to create a storage S3 and how to upload a data and how to download a data and how to create a Hadoop cluster. Okay. So now is it clear for you the 4 types of storage? Instant store, elastic block store, it need a association with the instance. 1. Sorry. It needs to associate with this instance. You need to make a login into a cloud account. Then only you can able to perform a read or write. Whereas if you store your data in S3, no need to associate with the instance. Also, no login is required. Okay. So once you upload an object here, you need to create a container called as bucket. In S3, you need to create a container called as bucket. Bucket is nothing but similar to your directory. Under directory, you will be organizing your files. You can organize file 1, file 2, any file. The file may be an audio file. It may be a video file. It may be an image file. It may be a PDF file. Anything that you can. So you want to create a directory. The directory in S3 is called as bucket. Under bucket, you can store your above set files. So the process of storing the file. So here I am going to show you. So in my machine, I am having one JPG image. I am going to create a bucket, S3 bucket. So I am going to upload this JPG image here in my bucket. Once that image has been uploaded, a URL will be created. I am going to share you the URL. You from your location, Madam Elil Mary Madam is in US. Abhilash and Anish, they may be in Kerala. Okay. So Dhanalakshmi Madam is in Chennai. What they can do by opening this URL in the web browser, what I had shared in this bucket is accessible to them. Okay, I can restrict the access. I can restrict the access to Abhilash to only read. I can give access to Elil Mary ma'am, a read and write access. I can give access to Dhanalakshmi madam, a download access. For each and every user, I can set a separate permission here. According to the permission that they can able to make access. Now, what I am going to do, this is the scenario that I am going to do. So I am going to make a connection with this S3. Click to service. Go to this storage. Here you can find S3, Amazon Simple Storage Service. So here there are two consoles. I am going to make use of my old console. Click on switch on to old console. So I am going to create a bucket. Click create bucket. Let I create a bucket by name Elil. Okay. So the thing that you want to create a bucket, you are going to create a bucket in a region. You can choose your own region. US, Oregon, any region that I can choose. I am going to choose a standard region, the default region, create. So it is throwing error. Why so? Because if you create a bucket, the bucket name should be unique. There should not be any other bucket with the same name within that region. Okay, in the data center that we are going to create the bucket, the name of the bucket should be unique. Therefore, we need to, I added an additional number that, and let I create Elil6. Yes, now the bucket that I had created is Elil6. If you click into the bucket is found to be empty. The bucket is empty. What activity that I can do? Click on these properties here. I can do all the things. The bucket is Elil6. It is created under the following region. The owner of the bucket is the account Raman.g. So I can set permission to other people so that upload, delete, edit, everything that I can set. Also, I can create a finer granularity permissions to the bucket by adding a policy called bucket policy. Click on bucket policy. So these are all the some sample bucket policies. The policy need to be written using some script. This is an example policy. What this policy do? This policy is for the particular bucket. What is the name of the bucket that we have created? It is Elil6. So what effect is given? There are two types of effect. One is allow, then second is deny. We are setting the effect as allow to allow the activity for all the people. Therefore, start. If I want to restrict the user, I want to specify the username. Here the principal element is start. To S3, the service that I am going to use is S3. What action? All the action. So I can perform a upload. I can perform a download. Okay. Then I can delete the object. Anything that I can do. All the permissions has been set. So which bucket? This is the bucket name, Elil bucket. So from where? If a request coming from this particular network, okay, it is assumed you create this bucket Elil6 in the US data center. Okay, US data center. So here is your network. Your network may contain multiple computers. The network is connected through a internet. Okay, through a router. Your network may have a IP address 54.240.143.0 is your network address. Each and every computer will have the address in this following range. Okay, 0.1, 0.2, like 0.188. So you may have multiple computers. What this is specifying this condition is, if the user is trying to access the bucket from the computer, then it provides a filter. If the access comes from this network address, you allow the access, except not IP address. That means if the request comes from this particular IP address, you deny the access. What is the IP address? They have specifically mentioned an IP address. That is, if the user, imagine he is Ram sitting in front of a computer with this IP address, if a request comes from the machine to access the content of this bucket LL, it will be denied. Okay, and all other will be allowed. So not IP address instance, it will be denied, all other action will be allowed. This is the way by which you can need to create a bucket policy. Then if you apply the policy to the bucket, according to that, it will be either allowed or denied. Okay, so I will let you know more detail how to create a policy. Now today's discussion is going to be with how to upload an object and how to share the object and how to make a read and write to the object. That is what that we are going to discuss. Now I can do all sort of activity on a bucket. You can make this bucket as a web server also. I can create a website and I can upload my website to this bucket so that I can make use of it as a static web server. Okay, these are all other activity that I can make use of with this bucket. Now I am going to upload an object. Click on upload.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, we are using this S3 storage, no? Suppose I'm using from my desktop, I'm utilizing this storage. If it does in a separate desktop means okay. Suppose I'm working in a company.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that case also we need to utilize this S3 storage.
Yeah. Yes.
So whatever it is, whether it is an independent computer or whether we are working in the company network. So if we want to utilize extra storage means we have to go for S3 or
yes,
only for a desk.
No, not for desktop. It is global storage.
Okay.
If you want to share, for example, you are currently in India. Your family may have a function, a marriage function associated with your relatives. So you are in currently you are in US. Your other relatives is in German or Japan like thing. So they couldn't able to attend that marriage function. What you can do? You can create a S3 storage, and you can upload the event that is recorded there in your marriage function, and that once that video has been uploaded into the S3 storage, URL will be created. You can share the URL to your relatives. So from their premises, they can able to look into the video. It is a global thing.
Okay, but processing of some function or suppose I'm doing some execution, that and all we can't do using S3. Only for storage.
Storage. If you want to do processing, if it need to do shared processing, for that you can go from a GitHub, a distributed version controlling system, GitHub. You might have heard about.
Okay.
So that is the repository under which you can share the file, and the user associated can able to do modification on top of it. Here too you can.
Okay, this S3 is only meant for the storage.
Storage. Here too, if you provide access to modify.
We can store anything, that is documents, image or a video, anything we can store and we can share for the number of users.
Yes, the same thing.
By giving the URL, we can share.
Yes. Now I am.
Can I tell that in Google we are having the Picasso album, no?
Yeah.
So it is similar to that.
What is Picasso? What it do? It is a storage, shared storage. Okay.
Yeah, it's a shared storage. There will store some images and videos.
Yes. Here you can.
And that link will give to the other users and they'll utilize it. It is similar to that. S3 is similar to that.
More or less similar, but you have a lot of privileges here. It is limited. Here you can store terabytes of data, and you can set privileges, access permission according to your interest here. That thing.
Yeah, okay, but it is the advanced one. Okay, but its functionality is similar to Picasso, But it is the advanced one.
Yeah, definitely you will be having your own control in this storage. In Picasa,
Okay.
the control will be by the company. Here you can have your own control.
Yeah, we can set the access
Yeah, permission.
permissions, everything.
Using currently what I have shared to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now click on upload. Click on add files. Now I am going to add a file here. Click on, this is my desktop. I am going to upload this Panta. Okay, a Cola by name Cola. Open. You can find a file of size 762.5 KB Cola.jpg from my desktop. Now I am going to upload now. Start upload. It shows the process is logged here. If process got start, how much of thing that uploaded, it will be listed. Now once it is successful, you will get a green light here. Yes, it is done successfully. Now this Cola is uploaded from the desktop into Amazon storage S3. That is the bucket that I have created is S3. So once it is uploaded, if you click on the property tab, you can find the URL for this object. This is the URL for this object. Okay, I will share the URL, copy. You try this URL, try to open this URL in your machine. In the chat window, I have copied this URL. You please everyone try. Try to open the URL in your web browser. I too try this. Copy, paste, simply enter. Whether you can able to see anything? Abhilash, Anish, Deepraj, Dhanlakshmi.
But the URL we can't copy, no? Since it is in the display mode, we need to type.
Yeah, you need to type. That's all.
Yeah, you just show the URL, so it takes time for time.
So in the chat window, you can copy. It is not possible to copy.
Yeah.
You just, if not else, yeah, access denied. Okay.
Hmm.
So it shows that this file is not appear. What's the reason behind that is anything you upload in S3 by default it will be private in nature. So if you want to make the access to all, what you need to do here is you need to make it as a public. How to make it as a public? Okay, you click on this object that you wish to share to others, go to actions and you click on make public. Okay, once you make it as a public, then the permission will be set to the object. A public permission will be set to the object. Now if you try to open the same object in a URL, now it will be displayed. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone, you,
Yes, we are able to see the image.
you can able to see the image in your machine
Yes.
itself. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is the way. So now you can upload the object. You can now upload another text file. So that you click on upload. Click on add files. Let me upload some documents. Okay, a small file. Amazon access key and token key. Open. Okay, start upload. You can find the file is found to be uploading. A CSV file I got upload. So click on the CSV. Go to action. Make public. Okay. Then once it is uploaded, a URL will be created. Click on the property. You can find a URL for this. Copy the URL. Now you try to open the URL in a browser. Now you can able to access this file. download. A download window will be prompted. If you click on save, it will be saved to the location. You please make a check. So any object can be uploaded or downloaded into the S3 given a right permission. Yes, is it okay now? Now I am going to delete the object. Click on Cola, go to action. Now I am going to delete the object. Click on delete. Yes, delete. Now object will be deleted. Now if you try the same URL that you have typed, now it will result in an error. Object not found. Okay, once the object has been removed, you can't able to access anything from that storage. This is the way by which you can upload the object and you can download the object and you can do any activity on top of it.
Sir, in what way this S3 is useful for Hadoop?
Yeah, I am going to tell you now.
Okay.
So with this introduction on S3, here we are going up with this EMR, Elastic MapReduce concept. Hadoop versus Elastic MapReduce stands for Hadoop versus service. Here we are going to establish a cluster with the following configuration. One master, you know what is the master? Here the master contain name node, secondary name node and job tracker, and we are going to have one data node. So with this minimum 2 is needed for our Elastic MapReduce. Okay, so here I am going to create a cluster. For that cluster, what I need to supply an input file and the processed thing need to be supplied as the output. So the input file that I am going to make use of is a log file. I am going to do some analytics. So the log file, we have a service called a cloud log, which is used for gathering some log. Okay, so we have gathered some log files. Okay, the log file contains the information about the web browser and the operating system, the location where the user is accessing. All the informations is present in the log file. The log file we called as a cloud trial. Okay, this is the service which is used to gather log from cloud, which contains, for example, now I had a shared object in S3. Okay, so here you people across from multiple locations. Elil Mary ma'am has access from US. Dhanalakshmi ma'am accessed from Chennai. Abhilash accessed from Kerala. So you may have Elil Mary ma'am may have a Linux operating system in the desktop through which she got connected. Dana ma'am may have a Windows 7 operating system. Abhilash may have a Mac operating system. So what are all the things that is accessed my S3 will be gathered as a log. What are all the user accesses the S3? Then what are all the, from which IP address, from which computer, from which location, all those informations will be recorded as a log. Now that is the log file that I am going to analyze. What I am going to do, I am going to make an analysis. So out of this log, how many users in their desktop uses Windows operating system? How many users is using a Linux operating system? How many users uses a Mac operating system? This is what that I am interested. Okay, this is a small, this for that what I need to do. I want to write a program. The program written here is in Hive program, a Hive script. Just to make you aware of what is happening. Okay, I will let you know how to write a Hive script laterly. So the thing that we are going to do in this example EMR is we are going to supply a log file. The log file contains the following information. We are going to do some analytics. The tool that I am going for that analytics is Hive. So the log file contain all the information, web browser, OS and location, etc., etc. Here from this log file, we are going to extract only the operating system. which user used which operating system. That is what that we are interested. Okay. So the input file, what I need to present this log file in a location. For that I make use of this S3. Then yeah, I need to place this Hive program in a location. My Hive program is also placed in the X3. So my cluster will took the data here from this location. Okay, from the S3 it took the data. The data will be processed here in the data node, and the result need to be stored in the output. So the result, how many uses Windows, how many user used Linux, how many user used Mac OS. For storing that result also, I am going to make use of S3. This is the way I am going to make use of my S3 for my storing the input file and for storing the program that I am going to apply on that input file and for storing the final result. Yes? Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now I am going to do this activity using the Hadoop cluster. Click on the service, go to EMR. The EMR will be under analytics. Click on EMR. Simply create what you need. You need this S3 and you need this cluster. And then I am going to create a cluster now. Click cluster. The name of the cluster, I am going to make it as a ROM. Okay, ROM cluster. Now, if you want to enable this logging, what activity the user is performing will be logged here. Okay, so the logging, if you want to enable, you can enable. So you are going to, the launch mode is a cluster mode and step execution mode. So here I am going to just now launch a cluster. Step execution mode will create a cluster with a step of applications. What you need to do while creating a cluster, what action that you need to do can also be specified. Laterly we can specify what are all the actions that here refers. So I want to, while creating the cluster, I can set an action to load the log file and to load the Hive program and to execute the Hive program on top of the log file and store the result into the S3. These are all step actions that I need to specify here. Okay. Now I am going to just now create a cluster. So click on cluster. Then release. These are all the following releases supported. Elastic MapReduce releases. The application currently supported in Amazon is Core Hadoop. It contains Hadoop, Hive, Hue, Mahout, Pig, and Test. And you have a, if you want to have a Spark, you need to choose this option. Okay, you need to have this Presto. These are all some of the Hadoop ecosystem components. Okay, so now I am going up with a minimum Hadoop. Ganglia is a monitoring tool. Hive is a data warehouse tool of Hadoop. Hue is a interface. Mahout is a tool which is used for doing machine learning. Pig is a data flow tool. Okay, now I am going to choose the application. Yes.
Yes, sir. One question. What is meant by that step execution? Each step you have to mention.
What action that need to be done while creating the cluster need to be specified under step execution.
Okay.
Loading the data, processing the data, storing the result need to be specified under step execution. First we will create a cluster and later we will do this step execution.
Okay.
Okay, so these actions need to be specified here. Under step execution, these actions need to be specified here. Just we create a cluster here. Okay, so before I am going to choose this option, you can find the minimum instance type that you need to use is M3 large. These are all the other instance type. Here we have initially for our services use the free instance. Here you need to pay for that. The number of instances, one master and two core nodes. The core nodes are nothing but your data nodes. Here I am going to create, so I need to pay. If it is a 3 instance, it rounds comes around Indian rupees 70 to 80 rupees. Okay. So I am going to make it with only one master and one core node. This is what that I have specified. One master and one data node that I am going to create for my cluster. Okay. So here, so security. I am going to make use of EC2 path, that is Raman. The same key that I am going to use. I am going to make use of the default role. The default role is nothing but the access privilege. Simply create cluster. What we did, we specify what is the instance type. This instance types will let us decide what is the hardware associated with the instance. The number of instances is found to be how many name node and how many data nodes. That's what that we need to specify. Simply click on create cluster. You can find the services. You click on the services EC2, you can find the 2 computers starts running here. The cluster is starting. Okay, now you have only one computer. Now once the cluster started, you can find 2 computers. Now you have only one computer running. Once the cluster start created, under this Harni or the cast one. You can find the cluster got start. The name of the cluster is RAM cluster. It is starting here. Harni, Amma now you can find this cluster got created. So you can view through this service here. Click on the service, go to EC2. Now you can find 3 instances are running. Okay, you can find 3 instances are running. One is master. You can find this M3X large. This is a master. And these are all slaves, data nodes. Then, since it is only one data node, we have only one data node. So we not yet configured.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
How will you define a master node and data node? That is how you'll identify.
Anything can be act as a master and anything.
So any node can be master node, any node can be data node.
Slave. The only difference is on the day itself we have discussed. The only difference is in the configuration files. You need to specify whether this node need to act as a master or this node need to act as a slave. We have discussed about the configuration files. The core-site.xml, mapred-site.xml, under which we need to specify the IP address. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. We can access, Anis, we can access this. Okay, so this is the thing that you need to go for, the way of creating a Hadoop cluster. Now you can submit the input, you can submit the output as a step process here. Once the cluster is successfully created, this is the log file which is created for your cluster. Okay, you can find this log file contain all the information. This information is pertaining to node, the log file associated with the node. Okay, so this is the way by which you can create. This is your LL, this is the file folder created by us. Okay, this is the folder created by AWS. It contains the log of all the associated cluster related informations. Now you can add your input, you can add your output location, you can add your Hive script through a step. click on this cluster. It will give you a overall view to the cluster. Okay. So creation date, how much of time, what are all the application that is configured, what is the distribution that it is configured. Okay, so where the log for the cluster has been stored, you can find the log is stored in the S3 in the following location. So if you want to enable monitoring, click on monitoring. It will show what are all the things associated with the cluster, how many applications are running, all these things will be submitted. Okay, so I will let you know laterly what is monitoring. Now this is the step that you need to add. Click on steps. You can add steps. Okay, if you click on add step, you can specify action. So what sort of file that you are going to make use of it. So whether Hive program or Pig program or Java program. If it is Hive program, click on this Hive program. In this, you want to specify the location of the program. Where the location under S3, you need to have that Hive file where you have this input location. So input data file need to be specified. The after processed, where to store the output, and what are all the arguments that they need to be given along with this step. Then what happen if the cluster fails, what action that we need to initiate. You can make the activity cancel or you can terminate the cluster. Like thing, you need to specify the input in this location, you need to specify the output in the location, and you need to specify the program that contains your business logic into the location. Then once you submit an add, your cluster will start read the data from the associated input location, and it got processed, and the processed output will be stored in the output location. That thing we will discuss in the coming session. Okay, today we have discussed about how to create an instance in a cloud and how to configure a Hadoop on top of it. Then how to make use of what are all the various storages associated with your AWS. Then which storage that we are going to use for our use case. Then what is S3, how to store object, how to read and how to write, how to download and how to upload objects from S3. Then how you can create this Hadoop cluster using Hadoop as a service, that is Elastic MapReduce. Then how to add steps to the services. Let me do this creating the script and running the script and getting the output in the next session. Today's discussion of what we have planned in our agenda has been completed. Do you have any doubt on today's session? Kindly let me know.
Yes,